Hello everyone. In this video we're going to be taking a look at an article from Packet Hub published on September 25th by Militia D'Souza, and this woman, she deserves a hell of a lot of credit because she is going to with this article, I'm surprised if she isn't already, she will be getting a lot of flack from the SJW leftists that are trying to basically commit a coup in the Linux programming realm and in FOSS and open source in general. FOSS and, open source and free software in general. What she did is basically connect the dots that shows that this is literally a coup going on. So, and she talks about the fact of the developers who are contributing code talking about pulling their licenses for their code to fight back against this coup that's going on. Now, before we get into the article here, I think you should see the email where this came about, and it comes from an article, or excuse me, from lulz.com. Linux developers threaten to pull kill switch. And this threat does have teeth, and they're right about that. And this right here is an open letter that was posted to the Kernel mailing list. And Tim Pool covered this article, and a few others did as well from the Linux community. But when it comes to Linux community itself, it's either fucking people who don't want to say anything because they don't want to upset the SJWs and those cultural Marxists that are in their audience, so they don't have the balls to really say much about this. You have them, what they do say, they're like, well, life without Linus. They don't want to call the shit out for what it is, or they're fucking soy boys. Linux gamer, I'm fucking talking about you. Level 1 tech whatever, I'm talking about you too. You two fucking soy boys have decent sized audiences, and you could be bringing this shit up, but you're talking about life without Linus. Are you fucking SJWs, or are you fucking soy boys? Are you soy boys, or are you fucking men? That's what so me, because I'm a Linux user, even though my content doesn't cover this realm, I'm covering this shit and I'm calling it out because it seems that the testosterone with the people out on YouTube and other environments that actually have notoriety when it comes to Linux, the testosterone is low. I mean, when this type of shit's going on, you need to take a stand one way or the other, but you don't want to upset your audiences. You know what? When you get like that, you're getting high, you start getting an ego because it builds you up. I've been dealing with like almost non-existent growth on YouTube. I mean, I have growth on other platforms. I mean, hell, I've got well over 3 times the amount of subscribers that I do on BitChute than I do YouTube. Okay, but I don't let it get to me, and I don't, I'm not here for an audience. If people like what I want to produce for content, so be it. I'm not going to cater to them. I'm going to make the content I want. You guys, you don't want to upset people. And then you've got like Tim Pool, another one on this idea. I mean, he covered this article and he was like, well, guys, you're going to ruin Linux. He's a fucking poser too. Okay. He has a dual boot. Ooh, dude. I mean, I'm not knocking people who have dual boots because of limited incomes, but the way he said it was like, well, I have a dual boot and I boot into Ubuntu. Like, talking out his fucking ass, like, yeah, he installed it and he fucked with it a little bit, but that was about it, and he doesn't really use it. I mean, I don't see him recording his shit on a Linux machine. I pretty much exclusively use Linux. I'm not a fucking poser like him. And this fucking little poser, like I said, was like, oh, guys, you're going to ruin Linux. You don't want to do that. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about, Tim? You talk about the social justice and you want them to fucking CoC to it? It's like, dude, fucking get bent. I mean, seriously. And the funny thing is this letter has caused so much spurging out. It's not even funny, because you've got the social justice warriors who are committing a coup going, that's not fair. You can't do that. And you've got the other side going, don't make us do it. Well, don't be like, don't make us do it. Just fucking do it at this point. They literally ousted the head of your group. Don't play nice. But this is the letter. The open email. And it's from unconditioned witness at Red Chan whatever. A plea to unfuck our codes of conduct is the subject. Regarding those who are ejected from the Linux kernel community after this CoC, which would be their code of conduct, contributors can at any time rescind the license granted regarding their property via written notice to those whom they are rescinding the grant from regarding their property. And right there, they're specifying code. Yeah, they have this legal right. The GPL version 2 lacks no rescission. No rescission clause. The GPL version 3 has such a clause to attempt to furnish defendants with an estoppel defense. The Linux kernel is licensed under version 2. However, as are the past contributions. Yes. See, now, the thing is it's funny. You have the far leftist types. Because the whole point of the GNU GPL was to protect your intellectual property. It was supposed to still allow you to be able to do what you want with it. See, Richard Stallman, the commie fucker that he is, he realized he fucked himself and he fucked his little plan by allowing for people to actually control their copyright. Because he actually learned the hard way when, in his history of trying to steal projects that people have been stupid enough to bring under the GNU umbrella, people have literally taken their code back from him. And he didn't like that. That's how the GNU GPL version 3 actually came about. It's because people were sick of them stealing their projects, and they said, fuck you, I'm taking my code. You don't have any legal right to it. Fuck off and die. Which is also why the GNU now requires everyone to sign over their intellectual property to the GNU. Go figure. So, like, if you contribute code to Emacs, or you contribute code to GIMP, or you contribute code to any project like that, okay, or if you bring your own project under the GNU, you have to sign it over to Richard Stallman and the GNU. Because they want to make sure that they own the copyright, and that's why in GNU's version 3 of the GPL, they're talking about this this inability to pull your code. Because you want to have control. The idea is what's yours isn't yours. It's communism. See, the version 2 GPL, the reason why Stallman wrote it the way he did was so that there could still be a commercial aspect and an individual aspect to Linux. And he tried to cripple the fact of people making money off of it. And in spite of him, with the GNU GPL, I mean, making money, not Linux, but the GNU GPL, he did everything to hinder people from being able to make money from it. But he fucked up because he didn't lock things down hard enough. I'm sure if he could lock things down more with how things have gotten out of his control on that note, he would. When the defendants ignore the rescission and continue using the plaintiff's code, the plaintiff can sue under the copyright statute, and that's dead on balls accurate. Banned contributors should do this. Note, plaintiff is to register their copyright prior to filing the suit. The copyright does not have to be registered at the time of the violation, however. Right, but it's still copyright protected regardless. Additionally, when said banned contributors joined the Linux team, they were under the impression that it was meritocracy. In fact, this belief was stated or ratified by those within the governing body regarding Linux when the contributors began their work. Whatever that body was at the time, it could have been simply Linus or Linus and a few associates. So yes, they made promises. They created basically a contractual obligation. The SJWs are going to violate that, which gives them legal repercussions against the Kernel Foundation. The remuneration for the work was implied to be, or perhaps stated to be, fame as well as potential increase in the contributor status, in addition to membership in the Linux Kernel Club or Association, or whatever it is that the Linux kernel community actually is, which a court may determine is something. It is something, suffice to say. Right. So you're going to get status. The better code you produce, the more of it that you produce, of course your ranking's going to go up in this little microcosm of a society. That makes sense. That's what a meritocracy is. The better you do, the more that you produce for the community. Of course you should gain more notoriety and such for that. You shouldn't gain, you shouldn't gain status because you're a fucking wonderkin. Thusly, for work, consideration was promised by Linus others. There are years of mailing list archives with which to determine. Yeah, exactly. A lot of promises were made, and now that consideration has been clawed back and the contributor's image has been tarnished. Yes, exactly. This is well said. Thus the worker did work. However, the other side of the implied, or perhaps written, email memorandums, understanding has been violated once the contributor has been banned under the new meritocratic, non-meritocratic CoC. Right. Damages could be recovered under breach of contract, yes. Quasi-contract, yes. Libel, yes. False light, yes. Services rendered for contractual claims. Future lost income from the libel claims, yes, exactly. In addition to the copyright claims, statutory damages, profits. Yes, this is dead on balls accurate, and it scares the fucking left that have taken over. The SJW cultural Marxists, they're going, you can't do that. You can't take your ball and go home. I want your ball. They didn't earn it. They didn't create it, but they want it. For the greatest effect, all rescissions should be done at once in a block with other banned contributors. Yeah, you do that all at once, you cripple the kernel, and it gives you so much bargaining power legally and non-legally, like on the note of public perception and everything else. Contributors, you were promised something. You labored for that promise. And now the promise has become a lie. You have remedies available to you now, as well as in the close future. Additionally, regarding those who promoted the code of conduct to be used against the Linux kernel contributors, knowing full well the effect it would have and desiring those effects, recovery for the ejected contributors via a tortious interference claim, a tortious interference claim may be possible. Yeah. Very well fucking said. But, so, Militia here, she went through and she broke everything down and she connects the dots. Big time. And I'm surprised that, like, they have the psychopathic, feminist SJW fucking Marxist bitches haven't freaked out and made her, change this, through threatening her and harassing her and trying to get her fired and all this other shit. So, her title here, Linux programmers opposed to the new code of conduct threaten to pull code from project. But she covers more than that. The facts of the controversy at hand. 1. To help make the kernel community a welcoming environment to participate in, which I love how she has the help make part of the make the kernel community welcoming environment in quotes. Linux accepted a new code of conduct earlier this month. Yeah. And the funny thing is to call it a code of conduct, which a code of conduct, sets up things based on, like, actual merit, like the idea of the legal system, and this doesn't. So it shouldn't be called a code of conduct. This created conflict among the developer community because of the clauses in the CoC. Yes, because the CoC is a cultural Marxist, feminist, identity politics, hate white men, fucking propaganda, fucking, like, hit piece. It's basically designed to wipe cis white men out of computer programming. For all intents and purposes, that's the intent of it. Or make them such a minority that, they become marginalized, which is the intent. when they're the ones that produce the most code, that produce the best code, you know, along with, say, people from you know, Asian nations, whether it's, you know, from the Orient, like, say, you know, China or Japan or Korea, or like India or Pakistan, you know, these are the type of people, and it's men from those groups, from those type of countries, that tend to produce the best code. Sorry, but the truth hurts. The CoC was derived from a contributor covenant created by Coraline Ada Klump Funk, whatever the fuck her name is, a software developer, an open source advocate, and an LGBT activist. Yeah, a single woman who has like 4 cats and calls herself an LGBT activist. This has got to be a really good code of conduct. Just 30 minutes after signing this CoC, principal kernel contributor Linus Torvalds sent a mail apologizing for his past behavior and announced temporary break. It should be a temporary break to improve upon his behavior. See, here's the thing. This was a coup. He was basically told he could walk. Like, what they did is, this isn't going to be temporary. That's not the intent. They have something on Linus, and I've got a feeling that the CEO of the Kernel Foundation, who is a Silicon Valley shitbag. Linus, you should have never trusted a Silicon Valley fucking shitbag, dude, with your shit. Your own stupidity. I believe he was part of this, and they engineered it and said, dude, either you say that you're taking a temporary leave, which is going to turn out to be permanent, or we're going to fucking sink you. And I said this in my last video. Because this statement right here is literally what they put out, what is put out for a press release when they basically tell someone, like a CEO or someone high up in a corporation, either you leave or we're going to make you leave, and we're going to fuck you in the process. I mean, just look at this. This week, people in our community confronted me about my lifetime of not understanding emotions. My flippant attacks and emails have been both unprofessional and uncalled for, especially at times when I made it personal. In my quest for a better patch, this made sense to me. I know now this was not okay, and I am truly sorry. See, this translation, I'm getting fucked, and I gotta say this, or they're gonna ruin my life for some shit. Because that's what it comes down to. And someone reminded me of this quote in my comments on the last video, and I wish I could remember it off the top of my head, and I wish I had like copied it so I could say it. But basically, what Linus said in this quote is he will offend people who deserve to, you know, if someone gets offended, they deserve to be offended, and that's why he likes offending people to some extent. That's what he said, and I agree with that. And the SJWs pressured him, and he was basically told, dude, you get out of this or we're going to fucking drag your name through the mud. Because you know that these SJWs and that, because they're trying to take over, you know, open source and FOSS and Linux and all that. You know that they've got friends in fucking media. You know that they would literally create stories like they did when he left, trying to make him look like a fucking shitbag. This decision of taking a break is speculated among many as a precautionary measure to prevent Torvalds from violating the newly created code of conduct. No! They were going to pass this, and they were like, dude, because Linus Torvalds would have been a vote against it. That's a given. They had to oust him to make sure this would pass. So they found something to blackmail him with. I mean, this is just speculation here. But they found something to blackmail him with, ousted him, got the number of votes down, and one less that would have been against what they were trying to do. This was coordinated. This was planned. This is an SJW coup. And you got this bitch bragging about it here. Number 5. Controversies took better shape after Caroline's sarcastic tweet. So Caroline Ada Oomph, psycho bitch, SJW, LGBTQ, AEIOU, and sometimes Y activist, did this tweet. And it's like, she literally knew when this shit was going down. So she was obviously following what was happening, so she was obviously on the inside. I can't wait for the mass exodus from Linux now that it's been infiltrated by SJWs. Ha 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 ha. Well, bitch, you really want to see Linux become a complete hunk of shit, don't you? Because you're such a petty fucking... Ooh, I want to say the C word, and I hate that word, but she is a... That's one word that I swear I won't say. But I so do with her. Oh, you dirty, syphilitic, infested you-know-what. And look at her. She's posting this with the code of conduct, let's revamp it thing. The code of conflict is not achieving its implicit goal of fostering civility and the spirit to be excellent to each other. That was never the intent of it. Explicit guidelines have demonstrated success in other projects in other areas of the kernel. Here is a code of conduct statement with a wider kernel. For the wider kernel, it is based on the contributor covenant. Yeah, some feminist fucking psychotic propagandist fucking cultural Marxist bullshit thing that allows for them to fucking push their shit. About a welcoming environment. You know, the kernel community, a welcoming environment. If you don't go in like a spurging fucking idiot or an SJW or anything like that, you're not gonna... It's a friendly environment, but when you come in and push your fucking shit and you act like a fucking retard, of course people are not going to put up with your fucking shit. But yet they're supposed to, according to these idiots on the left. And I love her follow-up tweet here. Some people are saying that the contributor covenant is a political document, and they're right. So she's openly admitting this is about politics. This is not about equality. This is not about, you know, making sure that people are treated fairly, making sure that people are not harassed, making sure, you know, those types of things. This is about pushing cultural Marxist crap. The new Linux Code of Conduct is causing huge conflict. Linux's move from its Code of Conflicts to a new Code of Conduct has not been received well by many of its developers. Some have threatened to pull out their blocks of code important to the project to revolt against the change. It's more than a revolt. What you're literally... Alright. To say it's a revolt is like trying to say that they're actually, you know, fighting against the system, when they are literally fighting for the system itself. You have two factions. All right. Well, look at the Linux kernel as a country. You have two factions right now. You have one who has infiltrated it. They've made it cancerous. Okay, it's riddled with cancer with this cultural Marxist feminist SJW shit. I mean, which is cancer. I mean, they are literally a cancer on it. They see that with how much power those people on that side have gained, the people that are against it, against the identity politics, against all of it, they've realized that they've literally, just while they were off coding their own thing, allowed for the environment around them to be taken over. And at this point, they see it as we've got limited choices and our best option is to pull our shit, to pull our code, to nuke this place. Because if you have a house and it's infested with termites, it gets to a point where you got to tear down the house and start over. And with how bad things have gone, I mean, you have Linus gone, you have this code of conduct, you literally have SJWs running the show. They're in bed with the CEO because the CEO of the Kernel Foundation allowed for this shit to happen. So you know that he's got to be at least complicit, if not more than a willing participant in this shit. You have all the people that are involved at the Kernel Foundation that were involved in this shit. So you have all these people that are in seats of power that are in bed with the SJW cultural Marxist feminist cabal in FOSS and the Linux kernel in particular. They don't have many options when that's the case. They're literally fighting a war. We're talking a war of ideology, too. Meritocracy, you know, having equality of opportunity as opposed to equality of outcome. That's what literally is going on here. This is more than a revolt. This could have serious consequences because Linux is one of the most important pieces of open source software in the world. That's not an understatement either. If threats are put into action, large parts of the internet would be left vulnerable to exploits. Actually, if they rescind their code, there's the legal situation with all the kernels would have to be instantly replaced. Because if they pull their rights to the code, that means that they have to give kernel updates, and every person who doesn't take the kernel updates is in violation, and they could technically be sued. So it would literally, you would cripple the kernel. They couldn't do that either, because a lot of these people have key blocks in the wall, or key blocks in the foundation that Linux is built off of, okay? And if they pull their code, depending on where the code is and what the code does, it could royally fuck things and it could destroy Linux. And you know what? As someone who's used Linux for over 2 decades, for like 22 years, maybe more at this point. I'm not going to figure out the math off the top of my head here. But at this point, seeing what's going on with it, I would rather watch it get nuked than watch the SJWs get it. This is an instance where I'm totally for a scorched earth policy. I really am. Because if I can't have it, if I can't have Linux the way it's been, if I can't have it as, you know, Linus's baby with the kernel and all that, and him guiding things, and him making sure that there's no back doors, okay? Because, you know, like I've mentioned in my last video, he's had the CIA and NSA and the government come to him about putting back doors in. Another person here who they're going after had the same thing going with the Linux kernel, and he said no. And I find it funny that 2 of the people that are being targeted are 2 people that have basically been the ones keeping backdoors and exploits out of the code. You gotta love that little irony. This could have serious consequences. Yeah, you're right. I mean, that's an understatement, but okay. Applications that use Linux would be like an incomplete Jenga stack that would collapse any minute. Try wouldn't even be able to stand with a lot of these people's code. It would literally collapse. You try to you stop it from being propped up. You know, while you're pulling that code out, the second you pull it out and take off your support, boom, crash them. Why some Linux developers are opposed to the new code of conduct. Here is a summary of developers' views on the code of conduct that, according to them, justifies their decision. 1. Amending to the CoC would mean good contributors are removed over trivial matters or even events that happened a long time ago, like Larry Garfield, a prominent Drupal contributor who was asked to step down after his sex fetish was made public. Yeah. So the guy was into consensual acts, which it says gore for the title of that. And he was asked to step down, you know, no, he was kind of forced to step down, but yeah. There is a lack of proper definitions for punishments, timeframes, and what constitutes abuse or harassment, inappropriate behavior that leaves the code of conduct wide open for exploitation, which is exactly the fucking point. These idiots don't realize. And I hate to say that about these guys. That was the intent. They want this code of conduct All right, it's like the YouTube terms of service or Twitter's terms of service or Facebook's terms of service. They want fucking ultimate control and a lot of gray areas that they can interpret however they want, whenever the wind, whichever way they see the wind blowing, whichever way they want the wind to blow. That's the whole point, you morons. And I'm sorry to put it like that, because being, a member of the community, I saw this coming. I knew this was going to happen. If you had looked up from your screens and your keyboards for 2 fucking seconds, you would have seen it too. And I feel like an asshole calling you guys morons, but you should have been able to see this shit. And that was their plan. It gives the people charged with enforcement immense power. Well, no, duh. No fucking shit. That's the whole intent. Instead of, putting it like this, just call it as it is. I mean, because you're kind of pussyfooting around this shit. I hate to say it, but even though this is kind of direct, it's still pussyfooting around it. Just be blunt. You should be more blunt. Because when you're trying to draw attention to this from outside groups, you really want it to be as blunt as possible for the normies. I mean, not like, because you got your normies when it comes to politics, but when it comes to code and computing, you've got the normies as well. I mean, and those normies between the two do intersect to some extent, but you got to make it so that the normies get the full grasp of this. You can't be, explaining it like in a lighter form, a light form. You need to be very blunt about this. It could force acceptance of contributions that wouldn't make the cut if made by cis white males. All right, I got to see this. Examples of how SJWs sneakily enter a FOSS project and blackmail maintainers to adopt CoC while subtly insulting them with racial slurs. Okay. I mean, this is kind of like off the thing, but I got to see this really quick. Hi, great project. I have one observation and suggestion. I noticed that you've rejected some pull requests to add some good Django libraries, and the people submitting those pull requests are POCs. As a suggestion, I recommend adopting the contributor code of conduct to ensure everybody's contributions are accepted regardless of their sex, sexual orientation, skin color, religion, height, place of origin, etc., etc., etc. As a white straight male and lead of this trending repository, your adoption of this code of conduct will send a loud and clear message that inclusion is a primary objective of the Django community and of the software development community in general. Ha! Ha ha ha! The pull request was rejected, not the person. Of the person who did not have their patches accepted, at least one submitted another pull request and was accepted, or are contributors in my other repositories disapproving your basic premise, or are contributors in my other repositories disapproving your basic premise. There is no need for a code of conduct. There hasn't been a conduct-related incident with the repository, and nothing about a contributor comes into play when rejecting or accepting a patch, as proved above. Well, excuse me. An explanation is proved when a patch is rejected, and some have been left open to reassess in a future time. I'm not white, and please don't make any other assumptions about me. They hold no relevance to the matter at hand. I work on several projects that hold inclusion as one of their primary goals. I'm closing this issue based on the explanations given. Ha 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 ha! I had to read this now. This was worth it. You seem to have taken personal issue with the issue. I opened this issue not to attack you on your decision, but to help improve a part of the project in which it seemed lacking. Most projects on GitHub have adopted the contributor covenant or a variant of it. It is a very straightforward document that protects all parties. I don't understand your negative attitude towards that philosophy. You may not be white. In your profile picture, you seem white. Wow, great assumptions. But you are not a woman or a transgender person, so you can't possibly understand what they go through. Harassment, exclusion, threats, and why a code of conduct is necessary. Even the Django Software Foundation has adopted one to protect its future. For me, it's very obvious Django-related projects would naturally follow suit and adopt the same, if not similar, code of conducts. I urge you to reconsider for the good future of this project. Thank you. So basically, you got this idiot going, well, you don't like what I got to say. Well, you know what? You're a fucking racist. You're a fucking transphobe. You're a fucking, you're a fucking misogynist. And you look white, so you are white. I mean, Jesus fucking Christ. And I just got to say, Rosario, that's fucking Hispanic. You don't look white to me. You opened an issue to raise concern about the relationship of a contributor's race and the rejection of their patches. Only I can accept or reject patches in this repository. You made it clear who this was about. Apart from this issue, we had no conduct problems, so no need for a code of conduct. I am very certain of my race. I'm Latino, Puerto Rican, a mestizo from Castiza, mother, and a mulatto father. There are many more races than just black and white. Yes, I am not a woman or transgendered individual, and I do not intend to even try to understand what they have to put up with. Never said that, but you assume women and transgendered individuals are the only targets of harassment, exclusion, and threats. And then he points out some links here to counter this. English is not my first language, and I hope I'm mistaken, but your last line, I urge you to reconsider for the good of the future of this project, sounded like a threat. Please clarify. Of course it was a fucking threat. That's all the left has, is fucking threats. How the hell do you think they got Linus ousted from his own fucking project? Threats. All right? The Silicon Valley shitbag who allowed for this to happen, that runs the Kernel project, that's the CEO. He's either a willing participant or he was blackmailed himself. And I think he was a willing fucking participant. I got no proof, but that's my gut. I really have no idea why you are responding the way you are. Oh, I threatened you, but you shouldn't get upset with me. Really, code of conducts are not just about conduct. They cover the spectrum of behaviors expected from civilized human beings that are more and more absent from the software industry. You mean absent? You are evading the topic at hand, and I can only wonder why. Why deny equal opportunity for all to join and contribute to your project, Roberto? No, he's got equal opportunity. The fact is, if they produce shit code, it's not going to be added to his repository. That's what you don't like. You want to, so everyone can contribute code to it and turn it into a fucking shit fest. That you have not seen harassment does not mean it's not happening all around us. Yeah, nice feelings, asshole. And turning a blind eye makes it worse. I was not threatening you, but your reaction is a projection of your feelings, and now I feel threatened by you. Wow! Talk about fucked up shit. This fucking little leftist, fucking cock-gobbling little bitch literally makes a threat. Gets called on it and goes, I wasn't threatening you, and because you called me on it, now I feel threatened. You fucking spurging retard. This is the type of shit. I saw that this shit was coming on. I saw it happening in other projects. Brian Lunduke, and I called him out in my last video. That fucking half-wit. That fucking shekel-loving fucking cock-gobbling bitch. Because he's another cock-gobbler. He'll suck any cock that, wants to give him money these days. If you want to go and contribute to him on Patreon, I'm sure he'd suck your dick. That's how much he's into getting money these days. To where he will compromise his fucking morals and fucking keep his mouth shut when this shit's going on. Throughout FOSS. He'll crack jokes about it. He'll make fun about it when it comes to the FreeBSD project and cause like the people within the FreeBSD's development project development organization to spurg out and threaten him and all this other shit, but he won't fucking say a goddamn thing with Linux because that's where his bread and butter is. And when this shit's going on. I mean, come on now, you asshole. I mean, this is the type of shit you fucking morons allowed to happen. I tried to say shit to you guys. I tried saying shit to you that you should start to speak up. You know, like with Lenduke, I would leave comments like, dude, what are you doing? Take a fucking stand. Don't play this shit. You call it out and then, yeah. Reading the links you posted, I have only one thing to say to you. Reevaluate your actions. You are becoming a toxic individual who is harming the Python and Django communities and haven't even realized it yet. You are a member of the Django Software Foundation and are supposed to be setting the example. He is! Against your fucking cultural Marxist shit! Which is why you're fucking spurging out. I will be forwarding the content of this issue to the chair to evaluate your continued presence in the DSF. Best regards. So translation. Following through with the threat. I wasn't threatening you. So you weren't planning on whining to the fucking chair? Bullshit. Which this is proof that backs up this, force the acceptance of contributions. And you'll watch. One reason why I actually clicked on that is because you have these assholes trying to claim that it won't do it on the other side. When you literally have the proof right there that that was the intent of it. Developers are concerned that Linux will start accepting patches from anyone and everyone just to keep par with the code of conduct, which will happen. It's happened in a lot of projects. It will no longer depend on the ability of the person to code, but on social parameters like race, color, sex, and gender, which is exactly what the left wants, which is why this fucking bitch was fucking cackling her fucking ass off, enjoying the fact of Linus being ousted in the code of conduct. It's exactly the plan. Why some developers believe in the new Linux code of conduct. On the other side of the argument, here are some potential reasons as to why the CoC will foster social justice. If they have to foster social justice. Which social justice is about, basically, translation. If you're a white man, you're a fucking scumbag. That's what all social justice is. It's fucking racism against white people. It's a dog whistle for racism, literally. Because the minute you hear social justice, it's, oh, white people are bad. Especially white men. Straight white men in particular. 1. Encouraging an inclusive and safe space for women, LGBTQAEIOU and sometimes Y. And people of color, who in the absence of the CoC are excluded, harassed, and sometimes even raped by cis white males. Oh, God. This is where Carl, fucking Sargon of fucking fuckwad, okay? Soy boy of trap porn. This is where he needs to chime in and go, I wouldn't even rape you. Because, I'm sorry, but that is some fucked up shit. That is some really fucked up shit. It isn't the women that are getting raped. It's the LGBTQAEIOU, tranny, and people of color. They're not even talking about women. Us evil white men, because I'm sure I'm going to be perceived as white, even though I'm a fucking mutt, and I'm part Canadian Indian and fucking American Indian, okay? Even though I'm going to be perceived as white, all right? Because we're just evil. We fucking rape everything according to these idiots. Oh, give me a fucking break. You're talking about a group of people, coders. They're not Steve fucking Shives. All right? You know what's funny? As you look at where all these actual, like, rapists are coming from, they're coming from the left these days. And these are the people that are going for this code of conduct. Huh. Go figure. And it's already an inclusive space for everyone. It's a space based on merit. Meaning, if you produce good code, people accept you. How hard is that? You know, cis white males aren't going to rape you. Even though this idiot who fucking came up with this one's Not the person who wrote the article, but who framed these reasons. You know, even though they believe they will, the cis white men aren't going to rape these people. Aren't going to rape the LGBTQAEIOU. You know, if Sargon of Akkad was involved in the, you know, in a project that had the was involved in a project, as Jim has shown, as his own wife called him out on, he'd be hitting on all the traps. So yeah, you don't have to worry about him. But he isn't part of any development project that I know of. He couldn't even make his video game. So you don't have to worry about him. Steve Shives, he looks barely computer literate. You don't have to worry about him. Anyone else want to add others to the list that they don't have to worry about? Because I'm sure there's a few. The CoC aims to overcome meritocracy, which in many organizations has consistently shown itself to mainly benefit those with privilege, to the exclusion of underrepresented people in technology. So meritocracy, where you show your worth, you show your actual merit, hence the name meritocracy. In an environment where you do that, are you saying that people who aren't white, in particular men, or say Asian, because they tend to be dominant in tech? You know, whether they're from actual, say, what people consider Asia, not the European, now that we're trying to call Pakistani, you know, rapists, Asian to throw off the whole Muslim thing. Yeah, but like say from Asia, all right, or from India or Pakistan even, which I don't, you know, most people didn't consider that Asia until that fucking sleight of hand thing was going on in the UK. But you have those particular groups, Asians and whites, dominating because they tend to be better at coding. And somehow you're going to tell me that Indians who come to this country after living in squalor and shit on their streets have privilege? Those types? You're going to say that they have somehow have privilege and didn't earn their way there? No, that's the idea of a meritocracy. Meritocracies benefit the people who produce the most, who produce the best. Not the fucking, you know, people. I'm trying to be nice about this. Not the people who are fucking wastes of space. And that's me being nice at this point. Which tend to be people on the left, because all you cultural Marxists think that shit should be handed to you. So you think that you should be, I mean, literally, you think that you should be able to come into a project and just fucking contribute. Because you think everything should just be handed to you. You don't think that you should have to earn the privilege through producing quality code to be able to do that. And that should say a lot. All right, 3. The vast majority of Linux contributors are cis white males. CC's code of conduct would enable the building of a more diverse demographic array of contributors. Yes, because you would literally be committing racism against white men, but because you fucking idiots on the left believe in this power privilege fucking concept of racism, which literally violates the idea of the dictionary definition, because to you people, the dictionary don't mean shit these days, because you literally feel that you can make any word mean what the fuck you want it to mean. You literally create these codes of conduct with these very vague rules, terms, however you want to look at it, that allow for you fucking SJW feminist cultural Marxist shitbags who get in charge to go and, like Thanos, snap of a finger, boom, you're gone. You're history. You never existed in this group. Wow, my fingers don't want to snap now. Boom, you're gone too. You too. Oh, you're gone. You too. And all white men. That's who it would be. And it would be, second, it would be the Asians, whether they're from, you know, the Orient side of Asia or the India side of Asia, okay? They would be the next ones to go. Until you have your little fucking SJW, identity politics little fucking clique of fucking spurging retards who can't code worth a fucking shit, you would actually have a better time of producing, you know, you'd actually have a better chance of producing good code, okay, by literally taking a room full of fucking chimpanzees, handing them computers and going, okay, code us the next Linux kernel, or code us the next generation of operating system kernel. They would probably produce better code than you fucking moron retards. And that's a fact. When you have to do this to get your foot in the door because you don't have the ability to do it, chimpanzees are looking better than you fucks at working on the Linux kernel. That's all I gotta say. What does this mean to the developer community? Linux includes programmers who are always free to contribute to its open source platform. Contributing good code would help them climb the ladder and become a maintainer. The greatest strength of Linux was its flexibility. Developers would contribute to the Linux kernel and be concerned about only a single entity, their code patch. The Linux community would judge the code based on its quality. Exactly. And it's, yeah, exactly. So you earn your status within the community by the quality of your work. Meritocracy. And that's the problem for these SJW leftists, because they know they cannot, these cultural Marxists and that. Because when you believe in any form of Marxism, whether it's cultural Marxism or whatever, you're lazy because you believe that you're entitled to something. And you look at someone who's got it and you go, well, I'm fucking jealous and I should have that. And that's what this is. It's no different. However, with the new code of conduct, critics say this could make passing judgment on code more challenging. For them, the code of conduct is a set of rules that expects everyone to be at equal levels in the community. It could mean that certain patches are accepted for fear of contravening the code of conduct. Here's what Caroline Ada M. Psycho purple-haired bitch was forthright in her criticism of this view. Here's what Caroline said. She was forthright in her criticism of this review. Would probably have been more accurate, more grammatically correct. A code of conduct does not mean that you have to accept patches from people because they are marginalized or otherwise underrepresented. Bullshit. It means that you need to make them feel welcome, to participate to the best of their ability without fear of discrimination. You just literally contradicted yourself, because you can't tell them that their code is unacceptable and that it needs work or that it sucks, because right there you are, with the way you leftist morons feel about things, that would be making them feel unwelcome. You know, unwelcome in the group and unwelcome to participate. And to them it would be discrimination, and to you that would be discrimination. I think what we read here kind of proves that. When you have this social justice fuckwit, Django Concardiff, going to Rosario and basically trying to force him to take on the code of conduct and accept code from incompetent fuckwits because they're because they're SJWs, that are people of, which people of color to me is fucking racist as all hell. Goes to show how racist these fucking idiots are, because all you did was just take colored people, a racist fucking term, flip the words around and go, not racist! No, still racist. But you literally want him to be able to be forced to accept code from people that are going to produce subpar code because they're transgendered or their, skin color is not exactly white. I mean, this fucking racist fuck who's pushing this shit, the Django Concardiff, assumed this guy's race, by their own logic, should be going, oh my god, I'm so sorry, but oh, well, you look white, fuck you. By your own rules, you should be sucking his dick right now going, I'm so sorry. Can you ever forgive me? That's what you should be doing right now, by your own fucking rules. Which goes to show the double standards of those rules. But she's trying to say, oh, that wouldn't do it, but it clearly would. Clearly, many of the fears of the Code of Conduct's critics haven't yet come to pass. What they're ultimately worried about is that there could be negative consequences. Yeah, because you've got people like this Sage Sharp, which we got into in the last video. Oh, where do I start? This bitch, she has been after Linus and the Linux Foundation and the kernel developers for years because she produced shitty fucking code and she got called out for it. Okay, she was trying to interject this SJW cultural Marxist feminist fucking, you know, identity politics bullshit into the Linux kernel, and they weren't having it. So she made it her mission to destroy Linus. And I bet you I will put fucking money that this psycho fucking bitch was one of the people that was involved in the ousting of Linus. I would fucking bet the farm on it. Oh my god, this is another partial fucking rant video. Holy shit. This is some fucked up shit here. Google developer Ted So, next on the hit list. Yeah. And we're going to get into what this Sage Sharp fucking psycho wonderkin fucking whatever the hell she calls herself, their fucking psycho bitch is trying to fucking put on him. It's so disgusting what she's trying to do. The new Code of Conduct explicitly says discrimination and harassment on the basis of sex or gender is not allowed. One Linux Foundation technical advisor board member who did not sign off on the patch is Ted So, who is a rape apologist. Okay. You know you just violated your own fucking code of conduct, right, bitch? You really do, right? You know that. Oh, that's right. Rules are double standards for you fucking half-wits. Would you make a report about a sexist comment to a Linux Foundation technical advisory board that includes a member who has dismissed rape because the perpetrator did not threaten to harm or kill the victim, or people were piled with alcohol? Nope, I don't think so. You know what gets me is you remember a couple years ago when you had the situation with those feminist SJW fucking bitches that created this study that was a bullshit fucking survey where they asked women if they ever had like sex drunk or anything like that, and they marked it all as rape. And basically made, you know, pushed this narrative that if women were drunk, it doesn't matter if the guy was fucking drunk, it was rape. I mean, you got mattress girls sucking out a passed out guy, but yet she got raped, according to these feminists. Okay, mattress girl sucks off the passed out guy, calls him, you know, and then goes, I was raped. Because he went, oh, I got to get out of here. I don't want you sucking my dick because I don't want my girlfriend, you know. But yet, she was raped. This is the mentality that they have. And because he said that this shit is ridiculous, okay, he said that if they're... all right, where is it? The statistics simply don't bear that out. Over half... all right, so this is out of context. Over half of a report's cases were ones where graduates were plied with alcohol and did not otherwise involve using physical force or other forms of coercion. And if you ask the women involved, only 27% of people categorized by cost as being raped call it rape themselves. Also found in CoC's study, although not widely reported, was the statistic that of the women whom she classified as being raped, although 73% refused to self-classify the event as rape, 46% of them had subsequent sex with the reported assailant. So they had sex with him again. So he points this out, and this bitch, Sage Sharp, is trying to say that he's a rape apologist. Because, you know, trying to actually say, hey, you know, if they're both drunk off their asses and they both decide to have sex, it's not fucking rape. Because, you know, to these feminists, though, oh, men, It doesn't matter how drunk you were. Hell, you could be drunker than the woman. She could be stone cold fucking sober. Okay, if she says you raped her, oh, you should have known. Yep. That's their mentality. And because he said, no, wait a minute, that's not how it works. According to this bitch who's been a fucking thorn in the side of everyone at the Linux Foundation. You know, like we'll say the people that matter, like So and Linus and such. You know, this bitch who's been trying to ruin their lives, who's been trying to destroy them because she found out she coded like shit, and she couldn't cut the mustard with the Linux kernel developers, has been trying to ruin them. So now she's calling him a rape apologist for that. I mean, it just goes to show you that he's the next one on the list, that this is a coup, and you people need to fucking pick a goddamn fucking side in this shit. This perhaps needs some context. The beginning of this argument dates all the way back to 2011 when So was a member of the Linux Foundation's Technical Advisory Board, participated in a discussion on a mailing list for the Australian National Linux Conference that year, making comments that were later interpreted by Aurora as rape apologism. Which this goes back even before that, which she's trying to use now. She just has that fucking bullshit fucking study and what he said to try to nail him for this. Using Aurora's piece as a fuse, Google employee Matthew Garrett slammed So on his beliefs. In 2017, yielding to the demands of SJWs, Google threw out James Damore, an engineer who circulated an internal creed about reverse discrimination in hiring practices. No, it's just straight out discrimination. It doesn't matter if you're white, black, purple, or whatever. If you discriminate against another group, it's discrimination. It's not reverse. That's like reverse racism. That makes absolutely no fucking sense. It's Orwellian newspeak. The SJWs are coming for him, and the best way to go forward would be to take a break, just like Linus did. Bullshit! He needs to fucking fight. Linus needs to get back in the fucking fight. They literally, like William Wallace and his right-hand man, need to take, I want to say to the fields, but they got to take to the mailing groups. They literally need to organize this shit. It's their asses or the Linux kernel. Like, well, that didn't come out right. It's their asses and the Linux kernel. Because both, if the Linux kernel gets fucked, they're going to get fucked. They need to fucking take a stand. You need Linus to have his face painted half fucking blue. Okay? Going, they may have taken my kernel, but they will not take my freedom. Freedom! You know, that's what should be going on right now with this situation. As claimed by Caroline, the underlying aim of the CoC was to guide people in behaving in a respectable way and create a positive environment for people irrespective of their race, ethnicity, religion, nationality, and political views. However, overlooking this aim, developers are concerned with the loopholes in the CoC. It's more than about loopholes in the CoC. It's specifically fucking written. I love how you come back around here, girl, okay, and show your true colors. You were doing good. You were doing good, but you're afraid of them too. There's more than loopholes. It's specifically written that way. Gain more insights into this news as well as other views from members of the Linux community at ITFOSS. Well, ITFOSS. Oh, God. Look at her. She's saying, come over here. Yeah, okay. Anyways. You know, she had to turn around on this one. See, and she's saying, well, you should just take a break to So. No. So, Linus, I hope someone fucking clip what I'm about to say. If you're going to clip anything from this. If you've made it this far, clip that what I am about to say to Linus and So. Linus. Buddy. Old pal. You might not know me, but I consider you a buddy, a pal. for all the years of a strong and powerful and reliable and stable operating system you have afforded me to use. I consider you a friend for doing that, for creating the heart of the Linux kernel. Ted, the projects you've been involved in, ext4 file system, along with many others, okay? You have contributed a lot. You too need to take a stand. You too need to basically say enough is enough. Your troops need leadership. And right now, they need Linus to be the Linus of old. They need the Linus that says stuff to offend people, because if they get offended, they deserve to be. We need you to do that. We need you two to organize. We need you two to take a stand. We need you to fight for what is right. Because right now, Linus, you look like a bitch-made punk. You look like a fucking bitch-made punk. You got cucked by a fucking bunch of fucking feminists, by purple-haired fucking psycho bitches. By one of them. This fucking stupid bitch, Sage Sharp, who's been a thorn in your fucking side for years. She bent you over and fucked you with her strap-on, dude. So she's trying to do the same to you. Are you gonna let this fucking flock of seagull haircut wearing fucking fugly bitch bend you over and fuck you like you're Vin Raines in fucking Pulp Fiction? I hope I got the right guy there. Are you gonna let that happen to you? For fuck's sake. She's fucking you with her strap on and no Vaseline, and you two are just sitting there and taking it. The community is taking a stand. Okay? And without leadership, the same leadership that you've directed them with in developing the kernel, if you want to save the kernel, you need to come out and say, wait a minute. Like on the note of Linus. You need to come out and say, wait a minute. I was wrong. I don't need to learn about other people's feelings. Because if they get offended, they deserve to be offended. You need to go back to that shit. You need to tell these people to get bent. But anyway, I've covered this well enough. And I'm going to have to label this one as a partial rant as well. Anyway, I'm going to leave things here. If you liked this video, depending on where you are watching it, please give it an upvote or thumbs up. If you want to know when new content of mine hits the internet, don't forget to subscribe to one or more of my social media or video accounts listed here. Also, with YouTube, don't forget to ring that bell. You can find all of my video content on both BitChute and YouTube. This may not be the case with other places I upload to, but I will try to minimize this happening. You are always welcome to interact with me at any of these sites on the list, so feel free to do so. If you have anything you want me to cover in a video, when it comes to news or current events, send it right along to me. I will try to do my best to cover it. As always, thank you for watching.